Okay, so we've got Ella, beautiful Ella. She seems happy actually. We've been out about half an hour, a bit more than half hour. She's already had one walk. I think my wife took her this morning, but we're having a quick walk. We're off out this afternoon to this animal sort of play area. So I thought I'd get all my lives done early. So we're obviously one Elvis Presley fan on keto. In case you want to know what I've eaten, I've just had 2 burgers and 2 pork ribs. What do you call them? Pork bellies. That's all I've had. Very fatty with saturated fat. I won't eat now till tonight. So the time now is around 1:30. So I'll eat again tonight around 6:30. Probably kebab, which is basically chicken, lamb and salad. I may have a tea or a coffee, stuff like that, but generally I'm pretty good sticking to the diet. Obviously, you know, I'm on carnivore and keto. I use Dr. Ken Berry as my go-to person. So I was going to discuss the lives we've done today, but I always like to mention, because we're on the keto channel, because I am an Elvis Presley fan on keto, just get this a bit higher. Because I'm an Elvis Presley fan on keto, I do like to just remind people, I eat mainly fatty meat and eggs, chickens, fish, a bit of veg, sometimes a bit of fruit, some nuts. That's all I really eat. Water, tea and coffee. That's my diet. Yeah, that's my life. Yeah, I've completely stopped sugar, bread, pasta, rice, potato, donuts, cakes, crisps, biscuits. All of that is a no-no, and I only eat twice a day, and I usually have about a 16-hour gap between my last meal and the meal I have the next day. 16 to 18 hours gaps. So I have a fast every day, really, don't I? Yeah. Remember, half of fasting is done while you're asleep. So I'm still doing the diet, guys. I've lost loads of weight. I'm down to 11 stone 3, I think. So I've lost well over a stone. I've completely reversed all my health problems. I have no ulcerative colitis anymore. All my aches and pains have more or less gone, except for sometimes at night when I'm asleep. But I'm full of energy. In fact, I've got too much energy. I just feel great. I feel great in myself. My sleeping is completely normal now. I have no anxiety now. These are all problems I had before. I'm so pleased that I don't have ulcerative colitis anymore. And I used to be pre-diabetic. That has gone. My blood sugars have returned to normal, and so has my blood pressure. My blood pressure is the same blood pressure of a 30-year-old man. So I'm 58 in July the 10th. So born in 1967. I think I've proved, because I've been on this diet 2 years, I think I have fully proved that on carnivore diet or keto diet, you can completely transform your health and happiness and energy levels and come off any medication, because I am on no medication, just through eating the right foods on the carnivore diet, the keto diet. And I always say to everyone, look up Dr. Ken Berry on YouTube. He's got 3.5 million followers. He saved hundreds of thousands of lives. Go on his question and answer live streams, and you will learn everything you would ever need to learn listening to Dr. Ken Berry and his wife Nisha. And you'll fix your body, you'll fix your health, you'll learn to love life again, which I think that was the big thing for me, learning to love life again. I enjoyed life, but I don't know if I loved it. Now I do. Having really high energy levels is just brilliant. I love it. Where you're supposed to be getting less and less energy, because I'm approaching 60. In 2 years' time, I'll be 60. My energy levels are going up and up. So something's working out for me. Something. Right. Let's talk about this morning's live streams. So we have been discussing Elvis's health. We've been discussing how sick Elvis is. You know, the foundation of what we do is we run 3 channels concerning Elvis and defending Elvis, and just showing the world that Elvis has been unfairly portrayed, so we stick up for Elvis. That's the bottom line. Elvis isn't the man that he's been portrayed as negatively in the media. It's very unfair. So we run 3 channels basically defending Elvis. So we've been discussing Elvis's medical problems, his medical history, his diet, his chronic illnesses, his prescription medications, some call it drugs, the things that Elvis would eat. We've just been talking in general about Elvis's life, how he gradually became more unwell as the years went by. Elvis was even known to be unwell as a child. Serious insomnia, serious colon problems, heart problems, blood pressure, blood sugars, you name it, Elvis had it, yeah? Gradually, he got more ill and more ill. So we've come across the book that was sent to me by a subscriber, the strange saga of Elvis Presley. Just let the dog catch up. Dr. Forrest Tennant's book that was sent to me by Karen. We've been trying to understand the book. It's quite an easy read. It goes into detail about Elvis's when he was admitted to hospital and the reasons why, what his problems were, how they treated him, even the dates of the admissions. We've even seen Dr. Nick's records as well. We found that on our Facebook. I think it was Trina. Was it Trina that posted that? I'm trying to remember. But the bottom line is, Elvis, obviously extremely famous man, extremely talented man, a beautiful man, a Christian man. Quite early on in his life, started to realise that he had some serious health problems. Now, some people say it's because he was taking sleeping tablets and uppers and different kind of pills through the 50s. Eventually, in the army years, they were given uppers to get through the maneuvers. You know, people put it down to that. Some people put it down to diet. I don't think it's as straightforward as that. Because you think about it now in 2025, yeah? I'm not getting any comments, by the way, guys. I'm really sorry. But you think about it in 2025, yeah? You, just because you take uppers, downers, recreational things, you know, come on, let's face it, guys, many of us through the 70s, 80s and 90s may have taken things that weren't good for us, or drunk too much, or smoked too much. It doesn't mean we died at age 42. Right, let's have a look. I'm going to put the dog back on the lead. Right, here we go. Okay, guys, let me just... Whoop. Oops. Right, 1 minute, guys. I'm just going to get past this lady. All right, guys, I'm just being quiet a second while I get past this lady. Right. Now you think about it, guys. Elvis died 42. Now, how many people do we know that took drugs, that were smokers, that drank a lot of alcohol, that had quite a hard-working life? How many of them died at 42? I would say almost none. Even the heavy smokers, even the heavy drinkers, even the people on the drugs, even people that were very medicated with prescription medication. They don't all die at 42. They don't all become as ill as Elvis did at the age of 42. So something is telling you there that there's something not quite right. Something is telling you that there's a possibility that genetically Elvis, there was something wrong with him from birth, that he possibly inherited. He read it, you know, like from his grandparents, who were first cousins, from his own parents. Gladys wasn't well, was she? even Vernon had serious heart problems. The point I'm trying to make, guys, is that something doesn't seem right with Elvis when it concerns his health and how he became so unwell. Didn't he? Elvis became very unwell, and early on in his career, I've heard he was unwell as a child with sleeping problems, stomach problems, but as he gets into the 60s, you start to understand, I know he's taking some uppers and some sleeping pills and maybe diet pills, maybe even sedatives. But to get unwell to the point that he did, where he literally couldn't believe how sick he was becoming, where he needed his own personal doctors and nurses, sometimes even needed to be watched for 24 hours, kept admitting himself into hospital many times. The doctors would admit Elvis to hospital many times. It tells you something was wrong. Something was wrong that he was born with. His body had problems, serious health, chronic problems that affected every aspect of his body. Like, we're talking like heart, lungs, liver, breathing, everything, guys, everything. We know about glaucoma and hypertension and many other things. The thing that we learned from the book, Elvis almost had an impossible chance, a no-win situation, that it was inevitable he would become unwell, get very sick. Now, was it inevitable that he was going to die so young? I don't know about that. Was it made worse by the prescription medication, the addiction to prescribed medication, also, overtaking prescription, being over-prescribed? Maybe even Elvis tried to self-medicate. Do you get what I'm saying, guys? Something was not right. Something was not right. Unfortunately, our hero, the man that we all love, was destined to be a sick man, to struggle through each day. He really did struggle in his life. An overworked man that loved being Elvis Presley, that loved to perform, loved his fans, loved being Elvis, faced with these terrible health problems and really didn't really have a way out. So he turned to his doctors, just like we all do. You trust your doctors, you think your doctors are going to give you what you need to, not just to soothe your pain, not just to sleep and to wake you up or to relax you, but also to fix you, You think, my doctor's going to fix me. And this just didn't seem to happen with Elvis. He never got fixed, did he? Now, I think he went through phases where his health would improve. Like, obviously, you look at Elvis in the '68 comeback special, how healthy he looks. You look at Elvis through the movie years, especially the earlier movies in the 60s, he looks fantastic. Even when Elvis goes to Vegas in '69 and has another comeback, which was phenomenal, Elvis looks fantastic. You look at Elvis in 1969, 1970, slim and lean and tanned and alert looking, happy looking. You would never think that Elvis could get so sick so quick. And this is what we're noticing. When you're starting to look at the years in the mid-70s, maybe even 74, you really do see a change in Elvis in every way. How energetic he looked, how healthy he looked, his puffiness. Obviously his tummy would get puffy, his face would get puffy, his hands would get puffy. He just seemed different. And I've known people have been saying this to me recently, that month to month you would see a different Elvis. So Elvis would look okay for a few months. Then you'd see him a few months later, if you look at old pictures, and he had the spark in his eyes was gone, the spring in his step seemed different, his puffiness seem exaggerated. His tummy seemed a bit distended. But then you'd see him a few months after that, and he'd look all right. You get what I'm saying, guys? You just have to go through the different pictures and try and... It's almost like he was trying different medications, or maybe different foods, or maybe a different exercise regime. Almost like Elvis was experimenting, trying to get better. When it worked, you would see a slimmer, healthier looking Elvis. When it didn't work, you wouldn't. Simple as that. I'm going to climb over this fence because we're a bit locked in here. 1 second, guys. Whoop. 1 second, guys. Whoop. Okay, we're just climbing over a fence. We're heading back now. Come here. Nice bit of exercise. Okay. All right, quite enjoyed that. So, okay, guys, sorry about that. A lot of you are going to watch this later. I have noticed that YouTube's been having a funny few days. YouTube's not working properly. It's probably why I'm not getting any comments. So a lot of you will watch this later. So yeah, so we get glimpses of Elvis getting better, then we get glimpses of Elvis getting worse. It's a snowball effect. The prescription drugs are not working. Many different kinds of diets Elvis tried to lose weight, change his eating habits, didn't really work out, and you just get this slippery slope where Elvis really is struggling on and off, because he was having the good times, and you know, it was on and off. So, but bit by bit, the public can tell they still loved Elvis. Of course they did. Elvis was still beautifully talented. His voice never let him down. But the public knew something didn't quite seem right. Now the problem we have on defending Elvis is that Elvis is judged too much on how he looked at the end of his life. Elvis is judged too much on his health at the end of his life, the prescription medication he was taking at the end of his life, his weight at the end of his life, which I think is very unfair, because Elvis had a fantastic career, an amazing career, phenomenal career, probably the most talented man that has ever lived. Now, I don't want to paint Elvis out as a god, but has anyone ever really been able to match Elvis's talent and looks? You know, one person. Sorry, my hair's a bit of a mess, guys. I don't think they have. I still think Elvis, I would say, because I'm an Elvis fan, but I still think Elvis is the #1 talent that was ever born, that ever lived. I don't think anyone will ever top Elvis. This is how we want Elvis to be remembered, as this uniquely talented man with a gift from God, almost a God-given gift. You know, remember, Elvis was a real Christian man. Now, Elvis literally, when he came onto the scene in the mid-50s, 1950s, he changed everything. Changed everything. This is how we want Elvis to be remembered. This iconic human being that just because he was born, just because he lived, changed the world and still affects the world today. Still affects the world today. Oh my God. Can't... The caravans are all going to smash into each other. Still affects the world today, yeah? This is how we want Elvis remembered. The way that he reinvigorated the teenagers in the 50s. Those same teenagers are still in love with Elvis today. How many years later? 70, 80 years later. The kids that grew up in the 60s and 70s, still in love with Elvis. I still love Elvis, and I mainly grew up in the 70s. Elvis changed my life. his influence on me made me believe in myself, have confidence in myself. Elvis really boosted me as in my personality, in my outlook on life. He made me think I could make a difference. Very luckily, I had a very successful life. I had my ups and downs, like we all do, but generally, I had some inner self-belief to try and do well, to try and work hard, to push myself, to boost my confidence, to do things I thought I couldn't do. And I've always thought that was because of Elvis. I've always thought, because I discovered Elvis when I was 4, finding an old record in a cupboard. I found an old record in a cupboard. That's how I discovered Elvis. I just can't help believing. That was the record that I found that literally changed my life. I also discovered the Beatles very soon after, but it was Elvis that grabbed my attention. And as soon as I discovered Elvis, I wanted to put a poster up on my wall, and nothing was the same again. Once I had a connection with Elvis at 4 years old, there was no turning back for me. No turning back. And Elvis's influence over me as a person, as a human, for every year of my life has affected me. So that's it, guys. Anyway, guys, I'm gonna go. I'll see you all later. I think we're out for the afternoon. The weather's not great. It's a bit windy and overcast. Let's just see how it goes. Take care, guys. Thanks very much. Have a great day.